Hey guys, it's Ross going on the Space Couch. Today I'm going to be reviewing this, the novelisation of The Force Awakens. I really do like that cover art. Obviously it's the same poster for the film. Now, it's based on a later version of the script, so there are some discrepancies between the book and the film, and that is what makes it pretty interesting. There's some extra detail in the book that's not in the film, plus there's some things that were in the film that aren't in the book. Now, like the original Star Wars novel all those years ago, there's an extract from the Journal of the Whills with a quote from that, and then it's like the opening scroll about Luke Skywalker's disappeared. Opening scene's different. It's Leia wondering where her brother is and thinking about how to get him and sending a certain pilot to try and track him down. That didn't appear in the film. Obviously it opens with the attack on the village. There is actually a bit more to that opening battle of the stormtroopers on the village, where Finn, it's not Finn at that point, he comes across a woman during the battle and he lets her escape. He doesn't kill her. Obviously that goes along with the fact that he doesn't shoot the villagers later. It doesn't do her any good, of course, because they also get killed. The conversation between him and Captain Phasma, you know, where he takes off his bloody helmet in the troop carrier back on the Star Destroyer, that's a bit longer and it was a little bit less threatening as well, the tone of it. I guess they tightened that up during the filming of it and cut a few lines out of there. The dialogue between Finn and Poe during the escape is also a bit longer. Pretty well done as well, quite interesting. There's a really good line in the text where Poe's looking at Finn just after he said we're going to escape, and it's along the lines of throw in your lot with this one and you won't be sorry that you did. It's very well done in the book, gives extra detail to both of their characters. It also shows the book that Poe survives the crash, and there's a sequence where he's trying to get off world, comes across some guy in a speeder, a really crap one, who is then getting chased by pirates. Poe is able to do a barrel roll even in this broken down little thing. He really can fly anything and saves this guy, and he then vows to help Poe get off world. Shame we didn't see that in the film. It would have been an interesting sequence, but well, hopefully they'll expand his character in the next movie and we'll see some more Poe. Now, Rey's interactions with Uncas Platt, there's more of them in the book, and they're as unpleasant as you would expect. Also, in the book, she's a bit more mercenary about BB-8, you know, before she decides she's not going to hand him over. She actually switches him off, you know, so he can't like raise any objections, and she's really close to handing him over before she decides not to. In the film, it's she's much more quickly to not hand him over. Also, in the book, and it may have been filmed, I hope it's in the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, Uncas Platt did indeed bug the Falcon and follows her to Takodana, and he confronts Rey at the cantina. Chewbacca rips his arm off, and it's very satisfying. It's a shame that didn't make the film, but well, like I say, maybe in the deleted scenes. Backstory in the book also goes into a bit more depth on how worried the First Order is that Finn broke his conditioning. You know, they can't allow that fact to be known amongst the other troopers unless others decide to think maybe they can do the same. They're just told basically that he's a traitor. Well, see, that comes up later in the film. He gets called traitor a couple of times, I believe. Also with Finn, in the film, that whole sequence, I See Your Eyes, it seemed quite significant at the time, even though she says the eyes of a man who wants to run, although wants to run but doesn't in the end, I suppose. But in the book, later in the sequence as she's handing over the lightsaber, it's like, I see your eyes now, they're a warrior's eyes, or words to that effect. And that does give his character much more significance and more reasoning as to why he goes off after Rey. I think I'll do a separate video on Finn and his potential Force-sensitive status. But yeah, there was a good line, and that saying you have a warrior's eyes, that makes much more sense in light of having said previously that essentially he didn't. Well, I mean, Finn's character development in the film was fantastic. The destruction of Hosnian Prime, however, in the book for me personally, it was appallingly badly written. I'm into science, as you know. Star Wars, obviously, you suspend that, you know, you just trust it. But, I mean, when the book's talking about gravitons and quintessence and Elysium, it's like, they might as well have just mentioned phlogiston as well. But I just gritted my teeth and just got through that part. Visually, that sequence is stunning in the film, and despite those flaws that we know about, it was amazing and I loved it. The book, it didn't do it as well as the film, and also in the book, it's dark energy that it's draining from the sun, not the actual sun itself. I guess that was a later change to the script. Also, about the destruction of the capital, there's a scene in the book where Leia sends her envoy, Corseller I think it is, to Hosnian Prime to try and negotiate with the Republic on behalf of the Resistance. Leia says, if I go, I'm never coming back again. You know, I'll have an accident. That sort of thing. That's just as well she didn't go. That is the lady you see in close-up on the balcony in green in the destruction of the capital. So there was a bit more backstory to that as to why she was there. Now, the reunion between Finn and Poe on the Resistance base, it has a bit less emotional impact in the book than it did in the film. Obviously, that's due to that fantastic chemistry between Oscar Isaac and John Boyega. And you know that like walk up and shoulder tap in the film, it's a big emotional moment. That's not in the script at all. That was one of the things that was saw in the J.J. Abrams interviews. Something just filmed while they were waiting to do something else because of the weather. So they just had the guy just film them walking up to each other and walking past, and it's a great sequence of the film. It's not in the book at all. The dialogue, I think, though, explains a little bit better how Poe got off Jakku. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter really, you know. I mean, the film was so great, I'm not going to pick too many holes in it. Most of the rest of the book from that point does follow the movie. Like, can fill in extra detail, like after Han's death, Kylo feels weakened, not strengthened, which I didn't think was that clear in the film. There's also a great snowspeeder chase with Rey and Finn that I believe was filmed, but it didn't make the final cut. So yeah, a snowspeeder chase as well. Hopefully they'll save that for one of the later films and we'll see a version of that sequence. And also the book, in the final battle between Rey and Kylo, it's much more obvious that Rey is teetering on the edge of the dark side, and she's about to kill him when the ground opens up and stops it. That's very much the case of Star Wars. First meetings are never final meetings, you know. There's always a later meeting where the situation is resolved one way or another. And obviously that's probably going to be episode 9. Now, after that forest battle, Finn's injuries are very non-specific in the book. It's like, I guess they hadn't figured out how he was going to be injured exactly in the script, and Rey can't tell how badly injured he is. When they get back to the car, there's a scene where one of the medics basically says, yeah, he's going to be fine. And then it kind of gets walked back, and they're saying, well, they don't know what's wrong with him, and maybe his spirit is damaged, or something like that. And there's that whole, obviously, bedside scene between him and Rey, you know, where she kisses him on the forehead. Daenerys Targaryen friend-zoning level, by the way. That is, I mean, great friendship. I don't see romance between them. Maybe, you never know. We'll have to see how that works out. Also, in the book, Poe and Rey do actually meet, and they have a scene where they meet, and essentially they know who the other is, obviously, via their interactions with Finn. In the film, there's a couple of wide-angle shots where both of them are in that same shot, though not together. There's at least one person between, I think it's Princess Leia at one point. So they have met, I guess. If you watch carefully, they're in the same shot. The book ends like the film, with Rey stretching out the lightsaber and wondering what will happen next. I can't wait for episode 8, and I'm sure all of you are the same. Obviously, we've heard recently, well, the last day or so, it's being pushed back from May next year through to December. This is obviously what happened with The Force Awakens as well. I was reading some articles saying the script's undergoing major rewrites. That's not a bad thing, and obviously we want the script to be great. They can take as much time as they want with it. The article I was reading was saying that some of the newer characters they had planned on introducing in this next episode are being scaled back or dropped, and they're making Rey and Finn's characters' arcs larger, which is great because, I mean, they were the absolute heart of the Force Awakens, and we're emotionally invested in those characters now. We want to see more of them. As cool as new characters would be, I'm very happy for the story to stick with those two. And hopefully there's going to be more Phasma and more Poe, and there's definitely going to be more Luke Skywalker. Can't wait to see him training Rey. It's going to be fantastic. But, like I say, that's almost 2 years away now. Rogue One this year. It's going to be a Star Wars film every Christmas, I guess, from now until who knows. Anyway, guys, that was just my quick review of the novelisation of The Force Awakens. A valuable addition to anybody who's into Star Wars. I thoroughly enjoyed it, other than the sequence about Hosnian Prime. Why don't you let me know what you thought? Subscribe or like the video.